Hey everybody, welcome to FabFit Friday. Today I am going to share how to fix the classic slim, the Sorcha Classic Slim Trousers that I was working on last week, and I made a drawstring hem, which ended up looking dorky because the the hem was full on my leg, plus it was cropped. So the combination of those two things I think were really not attractive. So what I want to do is first I'm going to show you, I'm going to switch my view here, and let me see if I can just zoom in here. Hey Mary, welcome. I want to show my the picture of me in my cropped trousers to show how I don't like it. So let's look at this first. All right, so I just want to show this so you guys can all see the how they were looking. So I think you guys can see here that I originally made these pants cropped because I wanted a breezy pair. Oh, look, it says, watch now, J Stern Designs how to taper a leg. That's fun. All right, so this is what they looked like before, and I think you can see and also agree with me. Well, I mean, you might like it, but I did not like the way this fuller leg looked. Ooh, let me just say hi to Judy and Julie. Welcome, ladies. We're going to work on adjusting my pants today. We're going to change it from this to this. And what I want to show you here is, I think you can see in this picture that it's a more cropped look. I mean, a more tapered look. And if I zoom in, you can see that I actually used my magic clips to pleat out some of the extra width on the leg, and that's how I tested it to see if I would like it. So I'm much happier with the way these are looking, and that's what I'm going to show you or work on today and show you how to do it. So if you end up with pants that are too wide, everybody shut their eyes. I'm just going to lighten my camera here for a second. There we go. Let's make it a little bit brighter. Okay, so what I have in front of me here is I've already taken apart the hems. Now, sadly, I had pinched out the amount, so I know I need to get rid of 2 inches of width around the hem to make them look nice, but I can't just take it out of the back leg. And the thing that's a pain about this is because I had already hemmed, I did the drawstring, and then you can see all of these wrinkles are here because I washed them and dried them after the drawstring was in, and I just left all that here. Oh, hi, Lean. Good evening from Belgium. I love that. Welcome. Hi, Bonnie. Welcome. We're fixing my cropped drawstring pants. So if you're just joining me, check out the first couple of minutes. I showed the photos if you haven't seen them on Instagram or Facebook. I had posted myself wearing these as is with this wider leg in a cropped length, and I think the consensus was it did not look good. So what I've done here is I have completely picked apart the hem. I also took the surged clean finish edge off here, and I'm going to redo this now. Now, one thing I want to show you is I feel like if you're going to have a do-over, so this is basically I'm doing this over to make it look nicer. I'm also going to improve something else. I had serged the side seams together after I sewed the side seam, and then I had to clip here so I could top stitch down the seam allowances through the hem so I could create an opening in the hem. So basically what I did was I just bar tacked. Let me see if I can zoom in here so you can see this. Let me just zoom in here so you can see. So I bar tacked here and here, and then I opened up the seam to create the hole. Okay, so that's how I created the drawstring hole. So I had to top stitch the seam allowance down on either side flat like this. But then what that caused was I had to clip it. So if I clean finish the edges separately now, I'm just going to move myself over here. There. If I clean finish the seams separately, I won't have to clip to when I top stitch them open. So that's going to be my first improvement. So let's look at what I have, and I'm just going to lay it flat. Now I know I need to remove 2 inches of ease based on testing it and clipping it and making it narrower when I was checking that out. Now my seam allowances are under here already. Now this is the side seam. This is the inseam over here. And I think what I'm going to do is I have to take a total of 2 inches off. That would be an even 1/2 inch on both sides, because I'd have a 1/2 inch in the front. I would have a 1/2 inch in the back for 1 inch here, and I would have 1 inch here. But because I've already top stitched these down, I don't want to, I mean, it would be a pain to pick out the bar tacking here. So to make it easier, what I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to take off 1/4 here and 3/4 here. And that way I'll be taking in the inseam a little bit, but then it'll give me room to, I want to just cut this off. I want to just cut this off. I don't want to fuss with it, because it would be really hard for me to take out all of that tight bar tacking that I did use to make the buttonhole, to, the hole for the drawstring. Hi, Diane, welcome. Okay, so having said that, and actually maybe what I'll do, because if I take it, because this is already a 1/2 inch, so if I just cut that off, that's getting rid of a 1/2 inch. That's really getting rid of a whole inch if I cut this off, because it's double. I think that's what I'm going to do. I don't know if you've noticed here, I want to show you something else on Instagram, which is making me feel sort of confident to do this. I'm going to go over to Ithaca Maven's Instagram, and I'm just going to show you. She does a lot of line drawings that are actual, they're actual pattern pieces that she, digitizes and uses in her illustrations. So you can see, looking at this, see how when you're looking at a tapered leg, when it's drafted, a lot of the taper comes from the side seam, not so much from the inseam, because if you keep tapering it from the inseam, it's already got more of an angle because the crotch extends out farther up here at crotch level. So I think actually I would be okay to just take it in on the side. So I think for these, I'm going to do that. I'm just going to take it in on the side, and that way I can just get rid of or cut off that there, so I don't have to worry about it. So what I'm going to do is, let me just make this a little lighter again. Sorry. Oops. Hi, Francis. Welcome. Hi, Becky. Welcome, welcome. We're fixing my pants that were too wide to have a crop drawstring. So what I'm going to do is, know that this is from the base of this serged edge to the finished edge. That is 1 inch. So if I cut that off, that's going to be taking out the amount that I need to get rid of to taper this leg enough. So I think that's what we're going to do. I'm going to just work from the side seam. And I'm going to make it a little bit bigger so you can see longer of what I'm doing. So I'm just going to get myself a ruler and let's just measure an inch. Now I don't have to worry about the seam allowance because the seam allowance was sewn into the pants, so that's going to be okay. Mary says that she would pin the mount off the seam and try them on to see how it falls. I think I agree that that would be the judicious way to do it, but I'm just going to haul off and do it because I just need to get these done. And I feel fairly secure that it's going to be okay. If it's not okay, I'll just cut them into shorts. But I think it is true. If you're going to be doing this sort of thing, pinning it and checking it is always a good idea. But I'm just going to haul off and do it here. So basically, I'm going to measure my inch and see what I'm doing is I'm going to measure the inch from this edge to an inch here. Notice that the ruler is not against the inch here because it's folded up. So basically I'm just going to use a piece of chalk, hopefully, to mark that. I'm pretty sure I have in here one of my chalk. There we go. So I'm just going to mark this. Okay, and then as I come up, I'm going to blend that inch all the way up to the base of the pocket. So I'm just going to be really gradual. So say up here at the top, I'm bringing myself into my final seam. Okay, so up here it matches. Over here, that's what I'm going to take off. Mary says, I love it. I'll just cut them off into shorts. You know, if I keep screwing them up, they could become Daisy Dukes, but I'm fairly confident that this is going to work. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out my, the rest of my seam because I want to clean finish these seam allowances separately. And I have a new seam ripper that I'm really excited about. And I just saw it. I should have grabbed it when I saw it. I've been playing with the Taylor Seville notions, and I really, really, really like the Taylor Seville seam ripper because it has a rubber grip. So I've been enjoying using that. So I'm literally just going to put the ball side of my seam ripper into the seam, and I'm just going to skate it along the seam like this to quickly take this part out. So see how fast that is? The ball protects the fabric from getting punctured. All right, so I'm just going to take this out. And actually, I took these in a little bit, so I have two seams up here. But basically, look how fast you can just take these out by using the blade part of the seam ripper. So I'm literally just skating it right along. And I'm just going to do, all right. So now, of course, I'm just going to need to, the first step here is I'm going to trim. Probably should have done that before I took it out. But basically, the first step after that is I think I should iron it because it's all crunchy. So let me plug in my iron. And then we're going to cut off the extra, and I'm going to clean finish the edge. So that's going to be the next step. I'm just going to work on one leg here because I also want to show you some of the other details of the pants. While my iron is heating up, let me show you the top of these pants. Hey, Andrea, welcome. Oh, Becky would like to know what the name of the seam ripper is. This is the Taylor Seville. Let me zoom in so you can see. So the Taylor Seville company, you can find them on Instagram. Taylor Seville Originals is their Instagram, but they make, I have the seam ripper I've been playing with. They make these magic pins, which are very cool too, because they have a seam allowance marked on them. So you can help, you know, guide your seam allowance. So I've been using those. And then of course, I've probably talked about their magic pins now quite a bit. I love their magic pins because these little heads are easy to grab, and they're also heat resistant, so you can heat through them. So I've really been loving up my Taylor Seville notions. All right, so what I want to show you here is, while my iron is heating up, I just want to show you some detail here. So you can see I finished the bottom edge of my facing with a bias strip of my pocketing fabric, and then to hold it down I stitched handmade all the way around, and I thought that that worked out really nicely, and it was so pretty. You're going to be in shock when you hear this, but I hand sewed this entire thing shut. I hand sewed this, I hand sewed this, I hand sewed the base of the facing to the pocketing material, and I repeated that on the other side. Okay, so I hand sewed. I turned this little corner under here so it wouldn't show through. Let me just see if this is a good, oops, let me make this a little bit brighter so you can see what I'm trying to show you here. Okay, and then I hand stitched it to the pocketing material so you don't see it on the right side. But then what I did was, notice from the edge of the pocket here to the edge of the pocket here, what I did was, is I sewed through from the right side in all the seams, just a little 1/4 inch to tack it down. So I tacked it down at this dart, I tacked it down at this dart, I tacked it down at the center back seam, and then the other 2 darts. Now this is right out of the wash. You can clearly see I have not pressed this, and you can see it's not flipping up, it's not doing anything funky. So this is a really nice finish. I really like this finish on the waistband facing. All right, so now let's press the seam I took apart here. So basically I'm just going to press everything nice and flat. So what I'm going to do after that is I'm going to trim off the extra. Let me just make this a little bit bigger so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm just pressing the raw edges that I took the serging out. I'm just going to press it flat just to make it easy to work with here. Like this. Okay. All right. All right, so there is my nice pressed edge. Now what I'm going to do is now see down here, it's already, okay, so you can see down here, this is still stitched together. I'm not going to trim any of this. I am just going to trim starting here. I'm just going to trim off this extra like this until I get to where it meets the original. I'm just going to make sure my edges are exactly lined up. We're just going to trim, trim, trim. And then when I get over here, I'm going to stop trimming like that. All right, so see, now I have an even edge right here, right? Mary says, oh, good thing I'm sitting down. You hand sewed. It looks wonderful. Thank you, Mary. I'm beginning to enjoy slow fashion. I have to admit to you, in the, up until recently, I would just make things as fast as I could to get it over with so I can move on to the next project. But I'm really enjoying taking my time on things. All right, so this is going to suck a little bit for video because I have my, see, I have my serger over here on a, oh, if I move this, you can see it, I guess. Oops, not that. Okay, so here's my serger. So you're really not going to be able to see what I'm doing. I have it on this separate little satellite rolling stand here. And all I'm going to do is plug it in and just clean finish these edges. So you're probably not going to be able to see exactly what I'm doing, but all I'm doing is, oops, all I'm doing is literally just clean finishing these two edges separately. Oops. Hold on, I lost my charging thing. Okay. Oh, I know what to do. I'm gonna anchor my little plug-in thing here around my lamp so it doesn't fall off. There we go. Okay, so basically what I'm going to do here is I'm literally just going to use my 4-thread stitch because that's what I have it set up for. And I'm going to start here. I'm going to start right here. Actually, I want you to see what I'm doing, so I'm going to pick it up and move it. Here. I changed my mind. I was just going to stitch on my little satellite, but I do want you to see what I'm doing. All right, let me get this so you can see what I'm doing. Here we go. Oops. Let me just tighten that up. And then let me just get that nice and sharp, like that. All right, so what I'm gonna do here, that's nice and sharp. Let me make it, is that nice? I think that's nice. All right, so Mary's also asking me, your rotary cutting blades are always so sharp. Do you go through a lot of blades or are they just sharp for you? I will tell you part of the reason why my cutting blades stay sharp is because I'm working on this cutting mat from the Big Mat Rotary Cutting Surface Company. I have a link to this company in the description of the video. This really helps save my blades. I've noticed they stay sharper much longer on this kind of cutting mat versus the self-healing ones. Also, I just got my new order. I buy the 5-pack from Wawak. So I just got my new 5 blades here, but you know, I go through them far less because this cutting mat is so nice to the serger blade. All right, so what I'm going to do here is we have to stop and start. And obviously, you know, I had to clip down here to press this open right before. But now what I'm going to have to do is clip under the pocket instead. And I just want to make sure this is nice. Can you guys see? Oops. Just want to make sure you can see what I'm doing. So what I'm going to do is up here where it's together, see how it's together right here? I'm going to clip here. So when I get up to the top, I can press them separate. So here is where I'm going to clip, right below the pocket. See? and then I can stick this on here like this. And I'm just going to start. I'm going to put the fabric in so it's right at where I clipped. So the clipped fabric is going to be right at the top of the needles, like that. Pretty close. And I'm just going to clean finish these sides separately now. Now I'm not cutting anything off, I'm just skimming the edge. Maybe I'll make it a little closer. Now traditionally I would use a 3-thread narrow or a 3-thread wide to do this, but because it's already set up, I'm gonna use the stitch. Now when I get to my original here, I'm gonna turn my knife down and I'm just gonna stitch until I get to where I think I started pressing the edge under. Then I'm gonna lift my needle, push everything back, and then chain off. So that, see how that gives me a nice start stop? So see, from this side it looks like this, and then from this side, see, it just joins my original stitching where it's pressed under already. And then I'm going to do the other side. Now this side I'm going to start from here because it'll just be easier. I'll show you what I mean when I get up there. So I'm going to start, I got to remember to put my blade back up. So I'm going to start like right here. And I'm going to go up this leg. There's no turning back now. And when I get over here, see, I can, I'm just going to flip all of this out of the way so I can just serge off the edge of the seam allowance. All right, so now I've clean finished. I will do the other one later and I will model it for you so you can see how it works. But basically, let me put this away. Okay. And then of course I'm going to need my machine. All right, I'm going to need that in a minute, but let's just see what we have here. Boop. All right, let me just push this back for a second. Okay, so let me just show you what we have now. I think I can put this up and tip it a little bit so it's not. Okay, get that out of the way. Okay, so let's look at what I have here. Okay, so you can see I have clean finished both my edges. All right, and I'm just gonna trim off this tail. Okay, so now you can see the next step is going to be to re-sew my new side seam. So basically I'm going to use the chalk line that I have, and what I want to do is I want to make sure I line up all of my original, everything's lining up. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to, let me just stick this back a little bit like that. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to line up my original edges, and I'll use these clips to hold my fabric, and then I'm going to stitch And actually, because I'm doing it on top of the original, so I'll be able to back tack and make the hole for my drawstring while I'm sewing the seam, because I know exactly where it's going to go at this point. I'm just going to use all the original stitching lines to guide my process to press all this back in place and sew it back together. So I know where my my hole needs to be, and I'm just going to chalk it in so you can see. Here's my little chalk. So the bar tack was here and here, because I can see the original stitching, so I know that's where the hole goes. I'm just double checking. So see, you can see the original stitching there. So basically what I'm going to do is I'll put, to make it easy for you to see, I'm going to put a pin here. So that's where I'm going to stop sewing, and then I'll put a pin where I'm going to start sewing, like that. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to sew this, and oops, I need to plug it in. I have the correct thread already ready to go here, so that's good. Just going to put this one on. This foot will allow me to do everything, all the stitches I need to do to finish this, I can do with this one presser foot. Once I get it attached. Okay, so I've got the presser foot on. Let me just zero in a little bit on what we're doing here. Okay, so basically now I'm going to sew on my chalk line to need my presser foot, need my foot control. All right, let me just put this here. Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sew this back up using just my regular straight stitch. Now see, here's the nice thing about these clips. The metal clip is going to be underneath the presser foot. Notice I don't need to take them off. They just, you can stitch right over them. Now when I get over here, when I get to the pin, I'm going to take the pin out, but then I'm going to back tack to reinforce that. Then I'm going to stop, and I'm going to advance to my next pin. And again, I'm going to remove my pin. So that's going to leave the opening for the drawstring right there. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Oops. All right. And then again, see how I can just stitch right over the clip? I don't have to take it off. Oh, Mary says, I'm curious about those clips. Can you show a close-up of them on the fabric edge? I'm not sure on the marking, on how the marking works. All right, so yes, let me show you. Let me just get past that one. All right, so okay, so these clips, let me see if I can zoom. Okay, so see how you can see it's marking this mark right there, that's for the 1/4 inch, and this one is for the 1/2 inch right here. So the first line that's right here, if I line this up like this, so that marking is right on that mark, this is a 1/4 inch. The tip of the clip is a 1/4 inch. Now I emailed them, the company, back, and I told them what I thought they should do is make these marks 1/8 of an inch closer to the tip, because if I have this right here at a 1/4 inch and I want to sew a 1/4 inch, I'm going to be right up against the tip of the clip. You want to be able to leave the clips. So if I wanted to do a 1/4 inch, I would back this up so it was only holding the fabric at an 1/8 inch, and then I would sew an 1/8 of an inch away from the tip of the clip. And again, if I want the 1/2 inch, so here's my 1/2 inch mark. Okay, so that's a 1/2 an inch away now, marking it, putting it on that mark right there. That's a 1/2 an inch away. The tip of the clip is a 1/2 an inch away. Again, I would back that up so it's an 1/8 of an inch, an 1/8 of an inch away from the 1/2 inch mark. So when I go to sew, and you can see my line is right here. Let's see if I can just draw this line neatly so you can see it. So it's like right here. So that chalk line is my 1/2 an inch. So what I would do is I would make sure I'm sewing an 1/8 of an inch away from the clip like this. The clip gets to stay, and I'm sewing at a 1/2 an inch. So that's what I recommended to them. I don't know if they said they would pass it on to their whatever development department, but I felt like that would make it easier for people. But the fact that you can leave them and sew over them is very handy. All right, so I'm just going to finish sewing these. And then I'm just going to join my original stitching right here. Okay. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I can fold up my hem and I can just re-stitch the, I can re-stitch, but the first thing I'm going to do is press. So let me stick this out of the way so I can press my seam allowances open. I'm going to use my little sleeve board for this. Okay. Oh, Mary says, oh, I see. I was wondering about that. Thanks. I'm going to order them, but we'll wait. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do here now is I want to press open the part that needs to be top stitched down, right? Because we want the opening for the drawstring to be really nice and easy to get to. So basically, I am going to grab my iron and I'm just going to press it like this open. Just down here. I'm not going to worry about this part. I mean, I can press all that later. I'll worry about that later. Let me just finish this up here. All right, so now that I've got that nice and pressed, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my machine and I'm going to just edge stitch or top stitch right up, because see, here's my opening for my drawstring. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to top stitch that. I'm going to make my stitch length like 3.5. I'm just going to go up and see, I can see all of my stitching lines. So I think there's my hole. So I think I'll just go all the way up to my top stitching line. And then I'm gonna pivot, go across, and then I'm gonna stitch back down. Oh, I need to make it a little bit closer, like this. Okay. I'm just gonna back tack one there. All right, so now I'm gonna just stitch right back down. All right, so see what that's going to do now is it holds all of this nice and flat, and I've got my nice opening, right? So then the next step is, bring this guy back again. Okay, so now I'm going to fold up my hem. And again, I'm kind of cheating because I have the, you know, I have all of the original. Oh, do I want to do a bar tack? You know what? I'm not going to. So originally I bar tacked right on the ends to keep that secure, but that's because I cut the stitching. Because I back tacked on either side of the hole, I'm not going to bother bar tacking this time. But basically, so my hem was like this. The base of the hole, right? So I'm going to press this up like this. And I'm basically just following the, you know, the hem's just going to fold back into place because I just took it apart. So, I mean, technically I'm cheating, like I'm not measuring anything, I'm just putting it back the way it was. You know, and I can see that like my side seam or my inseam is matching up. The stitching is matching up with the seam here, so I know I've got it laying right. All right, so now to finish this up, what I'm going to do is, well, let's turn it right side out because I can sew from the right side now. And again, you know, I have all of my original lines, which are nice. So see, I sewed up at the top here to hold the top part of the hem in place here, and then I sewed lower to make the actual casing, so it's got a double row of stitching. So I think just for ease of working with it, it's going to go onto my machine in this direction. So I'm just going to put some pins just to hold it. I mean, I feel fairly certain that it's going to just stay, you know, because like I said, I'm just putting it back. It's got sort of muscle memory from how it was already pressed and worn, so it's really easy just to put it back. All right, so I've got that pin there, and I have to sew here too, so I'm just gonna put a second row of pins in, just a little bit, just a few pins. Notice I'm not pinning every inch. Like really a pin at each seam and one pin in the front and one pin in the back is really all you need. Now, as a little detail, where am I going to start and where am I going to stop? You want to start and stop sewing your hems at the least noticeable place, which is near your inseam, which is right here. Okay, so I'm going to start and stop near my inseam. I'm not going to start and stop near the side seam where the hole is, right? All right, so Lean says, Jen, you have just made a wide leg pants. Jen, you have just made a wide leg pants yet with the Sorcha pattern. My daughter wants one, and I'm not sure where and how to widen the leg on the pattern. All right, Lean, I'll show you that in 1 minute as soon as I sew this. Because my the red linen pants that I have, my Sorcha Classic Slim Trousers that are the red linen ones, I actually widened the leg for that, and I'll show you how to do it as soon as I'm done sewing this. Okay, so let me just start here at the side seam. Notice I turned them inside out so I can sew inside the circle. And I'm going to start at my inseam. And basically I am just stitching around my original stitching. So you can see I still have the holes as a guide. So this is like really easy sewing. So literally I am just gonna stitch right around. To put the hem back. All right, I'm already around. I'm just going to overlap my stitching by about 1/4 of an inch and back tack a couple stitches. See, so it makes that very subtle join right there. See? Is that sharp? Can you see? All right, so then let's do the next one. I do know that wide leg pants are very in style right now. My sister teaches at the high school and she told me all the girls are wearing wide leg pants with cropped tops so their midriff shows. So if you're looking for that look but you're not in the shape or age that you want to show your midriff, I would wear it with a cropped top that covers just like the waistband of your pants, and that will give you a similar proportion for a wide leg pant. All right, so I'm just going to stitch along this. All right, I'm going to come to my start point right here again, and I'm just going to stitch that down. Oh, I started and stopped on the wrong side. Well, that's all right. It won't be noticeable. All right, so this time, if we look closely at what I did, I started and stopped on the side seam, but you can see that that's really not noticeable. If you take your time and overlap your stitching and just back tack a couple stitches, it really doesn't show. I mean, ideally I would have liked to have put it over here with my other start stop on the inseam, but in the big scheme of things, that's going to be okay. All right, so now I have my new drawstring with my double stitched hem here, and I'm gonna I'm teaching at 3 today, so I have to finish relatively close to 2 o'clock so I can prep for I'm teaching the Classic Slim Trouser pants fitting class with stitches this weekend from 3 to 5 today, tomorrow, and Sunday. So I do have to get off at around 2. So what I want to do is, I'm not going to take time to show you how to thread this through, but basically, whoops, you can see here I have a nice narrow leg. Okay, so I will put that through, and I will model it for you, and I will take a picture. But basically, there is my finished hem, and I'm pretty pleased because you really can't tell that I took it apart and put it back together. All right, so there's my new hem. I'm going to do the other one, put the drawstrings back in, and I will model that, and I will photograph that so you can see how it looks. All right, so let me show you, if you want to, let's get, I know I have here, hold on. Let me just get, let me use these. Okay, so I'm going to use this. I'm going to use this. All right, so these legs are a little bit short. We're going to pretend this is a full leg. And I'm also going to make it darker so you can see. Okay, so here's a front and back leg. I'm going to draw let's pretend the knee is right here. Okay, and let's pretend, you know, the leg just continues down to the length you need. Okay, and then over here, here's my other knee right here. Okay, so to increase the width of these pants, what I did was I measured out 3/4 of an inch on both sides like this, and then basically I straightened out the side seam. So from here, what I did was I started here and I just gradually, you know, went back to my original crotch and then just made this go straight down like this. Okay, so I added 3/4 of an inch at the knee on both side and inseam, and then I just continued that all the way down, and then I blended up to the original by the full hip and the crotch point, and I did that in the front and I did it in the back as well. So 3/4 of an inch at the knee, and then blend back to the full hip and just go straight down. Okay, so that's how you can give it more fullness. Now that is, if you do 3/4 and 3/4 plus and 3/4 over here, that's going to give you a total of 3 inches added on to the total width of your leg. If you want to do more, you can do more, but notice, I don't think I would flare out the side seam so it was doing this. If you want to add more, you can fill in a little bit more over here like this. You know what I mean? Because you've got, I think I would do that if you want a little bit more. Because of the curve of the inseams, you can fill it in a little bit more here like this. So that's how I would widen the leg if you want to add a little bit more ease to the leg, and especially for things like linen or things that are very soft and drapey, like rayon challis, for example. These would look beautiful in rayon challis, you know, and if you want to make them a little bit wider, it'll be a softer and flowier if you have a little bit more, you know, ease in the leg. Now, obviously, in reverse, I basically, you know, just so you can see, I mean, I think this is a good illustration to see. You can see your inseam is already doing this. That's why I really felt like it was okay for me to take the total inch off over here when I tapered. So when I tapered, I took it all off on one side, and the reason why I think it's okay to do that is then this seam sort of mirrors what this original seam is doing. And same thing for the front. You know, if you take it all in here, it's just going to create a similar shape as this. That's why I am 99.9% sure the leg is going to hang okay from taking the whole inch out here that I took out to narrow the leg to make my drawstring on my crop pants look more attractive. So that's my story about making it wider, making it narrower. Next week, I will have my Japanese fabrics to show you, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with those. I don't have time to show you today, sorry, but I am super excited about it. If anybody's joining me for class at 3 o'clock with Stitches events, I will see you in an hour. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. My husband and I are empty nesters this weekend because my daughter just left to go drive to Philadelphia to ref a volleyball tournament. So I'm all by myself with my husband this weekend. It'll be lots of fun. It'll be teaching every day, which is my favorite, and spending time with my husband, and I'm gonna have a nice weekend. I'm excited. So I hope you guys have a nice weekend as well. Oline says, thanks, I'll try it out. Yep, you can't really screw it up by making it wider. If you're not sure how wide you want it, make it a little bit wider than you think, because guess what? You can take it back in if it's too wide. So always guess up on what you think you might want to do for adding width. And that way you can take it back in if it's too full. So I hope you enjoyed this little how to fix my cropped drawstring Sorcha Classic Slim Trousers to make them attractive. I will show you pictures when I get the other leg done. So I will be sharing that with you. I'll put it in the gallery. I'll put it in the community tab here on our channel, and then also it'll be on my Instagram and in our group and on Facebook. So I'll share it with everybody as soon as it's finished. But I really want to thank you all for watching. I have exciting things planned. Well, I don't know if you guys are going to think they're exciting, but I think they're exciting. So I have some fun stuff coming up, so I will share that with you maybe next week. I need some progress before I can start sharing, and I also noticed like my face looks like it's glowing in this light. I have to fix my camera, so I'm sorry if I look frightening. But anyway, thank you guys for joining me. Have a wonderful weekend. I will see you next week with my Japanese fabrics during FabFit Friday. So thank you and have a nice weekend. And now I'm going to go. Okay, bye.